Due to the COVID-19, I can't do this, I look like an asshole. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, it is difficult for young actors and writers to get a fulfilling experience sharing their work while also creating entertainment. So, each episode we take a writer and a small group of actors and perform a table read of a sketch that they have written. This is SketchRead. Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us on the very first episode of SketchRead. I'm your host, Matt Hall, and today we have a very special guest on the show. He's a writer, actor, comedian, improviser, as well as an all-around great guy and an awesome friend. Today's writer is Patrick Campbell, who you know from YouTube channels such as Sinistrations Media and It's Trick. He was also a big part of my short-lived YouTube comedy series, Quick Bits, and we are absolutely thrilled to have his sketch kick off our season premiere. Patrick, it's good to see you.
How's it hanging, Matt? Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
So tell us a little bit about your sketch, The Unusual Suspect.
Well, this is a sketch from several years ago, so I'm coming back to it with fairly fresh eyes. It's a funny little comedy sketch that harkens back to a lot of the old two-person sketch shows you see a lot in the BBC. It's about a suspect being interviewed by a detective who keeps trying to convince him that he was the one who committed the crime, but the detective refuses to believe him. So it's a bit of a reversal of roles and taking absurd to its natural extreme.
Alrighty, awesome. I can't wait to jump into this sketch. It's a great sketch. It's really, really funny, and I'm excited for people to finally get a chance to see it. So before we jump into the sketch, I would like to introduce our actors. From the movie-themed podcast, the Greg and Matt Movie Chat, and the video essay YouTube channel CinemaCon, we have Greg Kondrak.
Hello.
Greg, what role do you have for us today?
I am the skeptical detective, Bates.
Awesome. And joining us for the reading of his hilarious comedy sketch is the man of the hour, Patrick Campbell.
I will be reading for the role of Stanley, the suspect who, spoiler alert, is a little unusual.
Alrighty. To keep us on track, I will be reading the stage directions for Patrick's sketch and reading for the role of Miss Peregrine. So, without further ado, let's jump into it. Fade from black. Interior, living room. Day. Bates is sitting at the table, writing on his notepad, dressed in a trench coat and fedora. At the counter, Stanley is fixing himself a cup of tea, dressed in a sweater vest and glasses.
So, where exactly were you on the night of the 5th when the crime was perpetrated?
Stanley calmly pours the tea into his cup.
Well, let me see. I was here at home, curling up in bed with my limited edition copy of Edgar Allan Poe's The Telltale Heart. I always break that one open on cold, rainy nights when I need a good shiver.
Bates nods and scribbles in his notebook.
Nobody saw you? You were alone?
I am typically everywhere alone.
Stanley takes his tea and sits down across from Bates. Stanley watches him carefully.
And what is your connection to Miss Peregrine, Mr. Stanley?
We were old colleagues at my last job before I was unjustly terminated. Never really spoke to her all that much. She always seemed a bit reclusive.
Bates nods, scribbles in his notepad, and then folds it up. Bates stands up and goes to shake hands with Stanley.
All right, well, I think we've got everything we need for now. Thank you, Mr. Stanley. Sorry again about all the silly questions.
Oh, not at all, Detective. I completely understand. You can't be too careful these days. I mean, for all you know, I could be the killer.
Bates stares at Stanley in silence for a moment.
No.
I beg your pardon?
You're not the killer.
Well, I mean, I could be.
Well, yeah, of course you could be, but you're not.
You're positive?
Yeah, we don't suspect you of murder at all.
Oh. Good. Why not, though?
I don't know, you just don't seem like the type. Like, I look at you, and I just don't see murderer.
Well, yeah, but that hardly seems like concrete evidence.
Yeah, you sort of get used to trusting your gut when you've been doing this as long as I have.
Oh. Well, all right then.
Bates smiles and nods to Stanley and turns to start heading for the door.
I'm not even a suspect, though?
Bates sighs and heads back towards him.
No, we don't suspect you of murder in any way at all.
You sure? No odd coincidences that you might want to look into? No holes in my story?
No, not really.
You don't think it's odd that I don't even have an alibi for that night? That I just claimed to be here completely alone?
Look, lots of people spend the night alone in their apartment, watching basic cable and eating microwavable meals for one. Doesn't mean they're murderers. It just means they're kind of depressing, sure, but they're not murderers.
Well, that's hardly... Hold on a second! Do you think I'm sad or something?
Bates clears his throat and looks away. Stanley points at him.
That's why I'm not a suspect, isn't it?
Oh, come on! Look at those arms. They're all frail and noodly. You couldn't open a jar of pickles with those, much less break into a grown woman's apartment and strangle her with piano wire.
I'll have you know I am a very shady and malicious character. Just look at my psych evaluation.
Stanley pulls a folder out from underneath the table.
You have a psych evaluation?
I work at Starbucks.
Oh.
Stanley flips open the folder and starts reading through it.
Look, it says right here, acute narcissism, sociopathic tendencies, hyperactive, violent outbursts. In fact, my therapist moved all the way to another city just to get away from me.
You sure you didn't just move for the ambiance?
Who moves to Long Island for ambiance?
Bates turns to start heading for the door.
Look, if you don't mind, I've got a crime to solve. I can't just keep wasting my time.
Now hold on there.
Bates reluctantly stops moving for the door.
You have no idea what kind of suspect you're letting slip through your hands here. I'm a complete psycho. Check my record. I used to kill animals for fun.
You ran over a squirrel once, about 5 years ago. And if your record is at all accurate, you spent the whole time bawling your eyes out.
But if you'll talk to Miss Peregrine's friends, they'll tell you I was abnormally fixated on her.
You asked her out to a movie once, went to see me before you, and she never called you back. And if Miss Peregrine's friends are at all accurate, you spent the whole time bawling your eyes out. I'd hardly say that counts as motive.
I protest! I could have killed her just as much as the next man!
Yeah, I'm sure you could have, but you didn't. I'm sorry if you're upset, Mr. Stanley, but there's just no way you could have killed her. Now, if you'll pardon me, I really must be going.
No, you know what? I don't have to stand for this. I confess I killed her. I snuck into her apartment, wrapped piano wire around her neck, and strangled her to death. I'm guilty, do you hear me? Guilty!
Bates stands there staring at him for a moment.
I'm sorry. I just don't believe you.
What do you mean? I just confessed! You have to arrest me! It's the law!
Yeah, but your confession, it didn't have any oomph.
Oh, this is ridiculous. I mean, what do I have to do? Produce the murder weapon?
Bates stares at him.
That'd probably help your case, yeah.
Stanley is suddenly sitting at the table, holding a knife dripping blood. He drops it on the table in front of him and looks at him expectantly. Bates picks the knife up, examines it, and then shakes his head.
Look, sir, for all I know, this is a knife covered in jam.
It is not jam!
Bates licks the knife and shrugs.
Tastes like jam.
It is not jam! It's blood! It's bloody blood!
Bates stares at him in bafflement.
Sir, of course it would be bloody blood. By its nature, bloody is the term used to describe something that is like blood. Are you feeling at all well, sir?
Why? Do I seem suspicious?
No, you just seem sad to me.
Stanley groans and buries his head in his hands on the table. Bates shakes his head sadly at him.
I'm sorry, sir. You seem very eager, I'll give you that much, but I'm just never going to believe that you murdered Miss Peregrine.
Why not?
Well, for one thing, Miss Peregrine isn't dead. She just lost her wallet.
Stanley sits there staring at him blankly.
What?
Yeah, she's right over there.
Bates points and Stanley turns to see Peregrine sitting in a chair behind them. Stanley stares and she waves at them. Hi. Stanley turns back and stares at Bates, looking embarrassed.
Ah.
After a moment, he composes himself, gets up from the table and walks over to Bates.
Any chance I could get resisting arrest?
I haven't even tried to arrest you yet.
Stanley thinks about this.
What about resisting arrest?
Bates looks at him uncertainly. Stanley gives him the pleading puppy eyes, and Bates sighs.
All right, fine. Hands on your head.
Stanley gleefully puts his hands up as Bates slaps the cuffs on him. He begins dragging Stanley out of the room as Stanley's expression drops.
Wait, why did I want this?
Cut to black. The end. Alrighty. I love that ending. Love that ending.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, that felt great. Well, that concludes our very first episode of SketchRead. For more content from Greg Kondrak, check out his YouTube channel, CinemaCon. And for more content from Patrick Campbell, check out Sinistration's media in It's Trick. Links to all in the description below. Also, for a 30-minute interview with Patrick Campbell, check out my podcast, The Greg and Matt Movie Chat, which is co-hosted by Greg Kondrak. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I'm Matt Hall, and take care.